Good morning. Good morning. I hope you all have had a wonderful Monday. It is Tuesday, at least the time of this filming. I don't know when it is that you're watching this, but if you are joining with us live, it is Tuesday. I think it is the 22nd of June. It is a great week. It's my birthday week. So I'm celebrating for the entire week. Yes, it is my birthday on Friday. So there is that. And I've noticed more on the show before we get in. Today, we're going to be talking about how to break the cycle of negativity. But I just want to comment on my hair because this is something I've never really noticed until I started the show, but is how different my hair can look from day to day. And definitely whatever I had going on yesterday, not my thing. I really like the 80s or 90s look. So that's that for me. All right. Yesterday, we talked about a powerful message about, is the mind working for you or against you? And it's real simple. It's real simple. If the mind is working for you, then you aren't in a negative state. You don't have these states of suffering, and that's fear, frustration, anger, resentment, anxiety, embarrassment, boredom, all of these things that just don't make us feel good. If you're in one of those, then we got some work to do. That's all. That's all. And if we find ourselves where we really want to be is in a state of clarity and peace and happiness, that's when we're in our prime. That's when we are able to think through things in our most powerful state. I don't know about you, but think about a time where you were just very negative. Did you have the level of clarity? Maybe you were trying to do something for your business, or you were trying to make a decision, or whatever you were doing. You were in the process of doing something and you got all these feelings bottled up and and you were just overwhelmed and stressed and all of these things. And were you able to clearly think through whatever it is that you were doing? You may have come up with a decision, but was it done with clarity? Was that the optimal decision for you? The truth is, we are in our most powerful state when we're in flow. And so focusing on being in flow is so extremely important. It also saves a whole lot of time. I mean, think about how much time we're wasting. It's like when I get angry at these drivers on the road and I just put all of my energy into their erratic driving, there's nothing I can do about them. There's nothing. I mean, yeah, there's literally nothing. I mean, I can run them off the road, but that's not legal. So, and so all I'm doing is just taking my energy and I'm throwing it out the window. I'm not in my best state of mind. So then for me to make a big decision, like, even what do I want to eat for lunch? I don't know. I don't care. I'm so wrapped up into whatever that thing is. So it's so important that we're being mindful of the energy that we're putting out into these states of suffering. When we go into them, we need to hold on, pull the reins back. Something is going on. So, and I don't necessarily think that they're bad states. I think that we can learn a lot from being in these negative states, because when we start to identify that they're happening, that's when we should say, hold on, pump the brakes. What's going on here? And the truth is, we have neuroplasticity in our brains. We have created pathways since we were born. I mean, you touch the oven, it's hot. So you see an oven, you associate that with heat. It's just how it is. We've learned these pathways. And so just because we have those doesn't mean that we can't unlearn them. So that's what a lot of this is we have some type of reaction because that's the reaction we've always had, or that's the reaction that, protects us. The truth is, yeah, sometimes it is more comfortable to want to blame other people. Yeah, it is, because then maybe we get pity or we get comfort, or it takes the pressure off of us. And so we blame other people, or it just like my friend who told me that she needed to stress out and be in this anxious state so that her kids could go to college. And I'm like, what? Your kids are going to go to college if you save and they not because you've stressed out, but because you've saved money for them. I mean, these two things, you don't, results equal results. Stress and anxiety doesn't equal results. But maybe in her world, stress and anxiety does equal results. Maybe she saw her parents growing. I'm just making this up. Maybe she saw her parents as she was growing up get really stressed over her college education. And guess what? She went to college. And so she made that connection that stress and anxiety equals results. I have no idea. But this is that neuroplasticity. That's what our brain is. Think about a person that comes to mind that's really negative. You think, oh, they're calling. Oh my gosh, they're just going to zap all of my energy. Think about that person. Why are some people like that? And then there are other people like my mom, I will say, who's very positive. Have you think about somebody who you just enjoy being around because they bring so much positivity and just smiles and joy, and they seem to really be at peace, and there's clarity when you talk to them, and they're really good at listening, and they don't seem to get frustrated or angry. And it doesn't mean that they're a pushover. They stand up for themselves, but there's always this element of peace to them. You know who I'm talking about? Does somebody come to mind? Yeah, that person versus this person that calls and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have the energy to put up with this person right now." Or you say, "I can only take that person in small doses." You know those people that I'm talking about? Those small dose people, you're like, "Oof, I like them, but I can only take a little bit of them." What is the difference between these two people? Well, there could be a lot of things. It could be how they grew up. It could be, things that have happened to them throughout their life. It could be a cultural thing. It could be their parents. It could be their spouse. I don't know. It could be a whole ton of things that have happened in their life. But why does person one seem to just always be so negative and this person always seem to be so positive? It's because that's how they've trained their brain to be. And that's exactly what we're doing here on Higher in Heels is we're training our brain to work for us and not against us. And that's exactly what this topic is this week. But in all of our conversations, we are training our brain and our lives to be exactly what we want them to be. We want to be in our most powerful state, in our state of flow. We want happiness. We want to go after these, big things in our lives, be intentional and say, okay, I want to lead a corporation. I want to do this, that, the other, and go out and step foot in a powerful way. We don't want to be in these negative states. And so whether it's what we're talking about this week or in any of the other weeks, we realize that, hey, like choice, for example, we have a choice in however we see things. And so we have a choice to look at things negatively, or we have a choice to look at things positively. We've talked about control. If we put our time and attention into things that we can't control, then guess what? It's just wasted time and attention. So all of these things that we're learning, all the things that we're talking about here every single morning for our just quick 20 minutes, these are all building upon how, strengths and tools that we can use in our own lives to become the best version of ourselves. So what happens when we start to get into a negative state? And I looked at some stats and I just thought that they were really interesting. And a study found that habits of prolonged negative thinking. So if you think negatively, and this is just your state of mind, this is this person that calls that's like, oh, I just want to complain. Or it could be mild. It doesn't have to be that extreme. But habits of prolonged negative thinking diminishes your brain's ability to, are you ready? Think, reason, and form memories. Y'all, that is huge. So negative thinking impacts your ability to think, to reason, and to form memories. Have you ever tried to have a conversation with somebody who's angry and it just seems to be going in circles and you can't get out of this loop? And you're like, here, let's just try to talk through it rationally. And they keep going back to the same thing. thing over and over and over. This is exactly what the study is talking about. When you are in that state of negativity, you can't think clearly. You can't. In fact, there is this thing called brain fog. Negative feelings, such as stress and anxiety, can cause a hormonal release and cause even more rapid thoughts. And we get brain fog. So, again, going back to that conversation, you're talking with somebody who has just a lot of negative thoughts and they're just, oh, they're so mad at the situation. And it could be maybe a driver just hit them or maybe whatever. Or, you guys got in a fight over something and the person might not even know what you're fighting over. And you just keep going in the loop. Yeah. When you are in that state of anger, frustration, resentment, whatever that is, you're not thinking clearly. That's not where we want to be. We do not want to be making big decisions when we're stuck in the negative loop. It's brain fog and we don't see. Okay, why do some people put their hand through a wall when they're angry? Brain fog. Probably not the smartest. How many times have you? I know I have. I kicked this big can of water one time when I was angry. I kicked it and I broke my toe. And I was like, oh, why'd I do that? You ever said, oh, why'd I do that? When you were angry, when you were stressed out, when you were anxious, and you did something, you're like, oh, I really didn't feel good about that afterwards, but I did it in the heat of the moment. Y'all, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we're talking about here, is when you get into these states, nothing good is coming out of them. It's not like, oh, I had this revelation while I was so angry. Now, that's not to say you might not have thoughts. You have tons of thoughts. Your thoughts are speed racing through your brain. Your hormones are just firing, all these things. And you've got a million things racing. And then maybe your actions don't align with what you would really do as a person. That's how people get killed, quite frankly. It can be a scary world out there. You piss the wrong person off, they have a gun in their pocket. You walk into somebody's house on accident. I live in an apartment. I've had people walk in before, not here because I'm really good about locking my door, but I've had people walk in before because they accidentally walked into the wrong apartment. They weren't even doing anything maliciously. It wasn't like, I'm going to go rob this person. It was, oops, I meant to be on the third floor, but I was on the fourth floor or whatever. I mean, it just happens sometimes. I think I've done it before. But what if I got so scared, which is a state of suffering, being scared. What if I got so scared and I attacked that person or I shot that person or whatever? And I didn't mean to, but I did it because I was scared. And you see, y'all, we do things when we are in these states, which is why it's so important. Because if we want to act true and authentic to ourselves, we want to be in this state of clarity. Not only does it feel good, because of course it feels good to just be at peace, have that clarity, feel relaxed. Nobody's like, oh, I want to be anxious, other than my friend who says I have to be anxious so that I can get my kids' college education. I'm like, that one is still hard for me to wrap my head around. When I heard that, I was like, I just results equal results. Anxiety doesn't equal results. But anyway, enough of that. So what are some things that we can do? We know we need to break this cycle of negativity. It is clouding our brain. In fact, we don't have the memory like we thought we would. We're not acting aligned with possibly who we are as a human being. We're not able to form memories. I mean, our thinking is clouded. And so it's just not a good state to be in. So what can we do? Movement, exercise. That's one way. What happens when we start to move around? Tony Robbins does this exercise and he'll have you stand like Wonder Woman and just stand with your arms out for 2 minutes. And you're getting oxygen to your heart, to your lungs and you just open up and just stay there. And it actually helps increase your, I believe it's your testosterone. And what studies have found is that that will help to decrease whatever's happening over here in the state of suffering and help put you. But you have to stay there for 2 minutes and be and just be present. So that's one way. Do the Wonder Woman. But that movement, any movement, raising your hands, just anything, you're getting the blood to flow. You may be in the stagnant place where everything is just stuck. Yes, your heart is still beating, your lungs are still beating. Thank goodness your blood is still pumping, all of these things. But to really get some oxygenation, it's like when you shake a bottle, it's like all the stuff is on the bottom. You're like, oh, I want to drink this. So you got to shake it up so that it goes all throughout. Y'all, that's what we're doing when we're moving our body. So we want to have that movement. We want to have that flow. Go for a run. Go to the gym. Do some jumping jacks, flap your arms around, whatever it may be, but get some kind of movement. That's going to help that oxygen. Drink something like, I think it's beet juice. I think beets are good for oxygenation. So drink that, but something to get that blood flowing, to get that oxygen moving throughout your body. So go work out. Second thing, an act of kindness. Doesn't it feel good when we do something for someone else? Yeah, it does. When you go volunteer your time or you go help a friend with a project. Now, don't do this with an angry heart, like, oh, I have to do this. That's not going to help you. What's going to be helpful is if you do it with a open heart, with a happy heart, with a giving heart. Think about something you're really passionate about. Maybe it's working with the elderly. Maybe it's going to a food kitchen. Maybe it's just reading kids' books. Shoot, I'm sure people at the library would love to have you if you wanted to come read a book to some kids. Yeah, that'll put you into a state of happiness, giving, gratitude, all these things put us into an immediate elevated state. We just feel good about what we're doing. So if you want to work yourself out of these negative thoughts, go do something good. Go volunteer. Go give your time. And lastly, practice. It's that neuroplasticity. It's whatever you learned as a kid. It's that hot oven. You say, oh my gosh. And yeah, the oven is still going to be hot if it's on. But my point is, you've learned these things, and whatever you've learned, you can unlearn. And it takes practice. I know for me, my honest to goodness journey was I had tons of negative thoughts. These drivers on the road, I talk about the drivers a lot, but it's true. And I think we can all relate to that is that, everybody on the road, not everybody, but there's just a lot of really crappy drivers out there. And they're irritating. They might cut you off. They might run into you. It's really irritating when you're dealing with these people. But they're there. So what are you going to do? Are you going to get upset every single time? Or do you maybe flip things around in your brain? Here was one that I used. This was how I justified their erratic behavior. So first of all, I kept saying the serenity prayer. Help me to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So basically, if you can't control it, let it go. Let it go. But our brains want that justification. But why? Why are you acting this way? We're such curious human beings. Like that's just how we're wired. We want that justification. So yeah, it sounds easy. Just let it go. Don't let it get into your head. But sometimes, especially if you're used to this negative way of thinking, you got to flip it around. So I used to say all the time, oh, well, he must be driving his pregnant wife to the hospital. And I'll tell you what, when I started to think in those terms, it was like it didn't matter anymore. I'm like, take your wife to the hospital. Of course you would drive like that. If I was pregnant and that baby was about to come out, I'd want somebody to drive like a madman as well. So that's what I would do. So practice. So get up, exercise, move your arms, go for a run, whatever it is, practice Do something nice. Second thing, do something nice. Go volunteer. Go, do something that makes you feel good. Go give back to the community and do it with a giving heart. Don't do it with Jen told me to do this. Now I have to do this, because that's not going to help. Like, you have to want it. You can't be like, well, Jen said, so now I have to. That's not going to work. So something that you're passionate about, find it, go do it. Then lastly, practice. Practice makes perfect. You can do it and you can rewire your brain. So we are at the top of our time. So I would appreciate if you would subscribe, if you would share this with your friends, because we are all about becoming the best versions of ourselves. And ladies, we want to see more people in leadership, more people building businesses, more people out there doing the things that they love to do in a peaceful state of mind. And that's what we are all about. We are about encouragement over jealousy. We are about supporting men and women. We are people of this world. Oh, so many good things. So come back tomorrow. We are here at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, but this is on YouTube, so you can watch it whenever. That's just how it is. I am here, and maybe you are here. And if not, I encourage you to join us on every day at 6 a.m. So we're coming up. We want the world to know. We're gonna let it show. That's right, ladies. Why? Because we're coming up. We want the world to know. We're gonna let it show. All right, I'll see you back here tomorrow. Don't forget, go to higherandheels.com and go grab yourself a free copy of that magazine. Cheers.